Hello, Flosstube. It's my 5th video. It's been a while since sorry about that, since I updated. I think mid-January was my last update. Anyway, I've been, for those of you who might be new to my channel, or I don't know how much detail I went into last time, but I was in Albuquerque, starting on the 17th of January. My younger sister and I went down there. She stayed through the weekend, through the 22nd, and I stayed through the end of January, until the 2nd of February, helping my parents purge their belongings in preparation for their move down here. And at the time that we started, we had bought a house in Gilbert, Arizona, just north of where I live now in Chandler, north and east. We were buying a house out there, and then we had the home inspection done and discovered there were problems with the foundation. So anyway, so my parents backed out of buying that house, and we bought. We looked around, started looking for another house, and eventually, just the other day, we settled on another house basically in that same area, but a little bit newer, better looking house. I don't know. Anyway, so I don't know how much. I'll probably be at this residence for another month or two. And then I don't know what kind of circumstances I will be in there. But anyway, so that's where I was the last couple of months. And while I was in Albuquerque, I had taken my various stitching projects with me. I had taken about 3 with me, I think, including my kitty kit that I was talking about, the cat on the piano kit that my nephew gave me, and my Santa that I've been working on. And when I got to Albuquerque, I was just exhausted because every day I would work on that house, and there was a lot of stuff to go through. And then B, the lighting in the room that I was in was off on one side and just not really very good for stitching. But mostly it was just exhaustion. I was just too tired to do anything, to concentrate and to whatever. So I didn't get any stitching done. But while I was there going through all these things, I found a lot of stitchy stuff. I found among them, this floss. All these things, many of them belong to my older sister, who really doesn't do any cross stitch anymore. So I feel perfectly fine keeping them. But I also found a skein of green floss, some shade of sort of a darkish green, and I somehow lost it, which makes me kind of sad. I think what happened, this is a lot of cat hair on. What happened was that I may have probably dropped it. If I had put it in my jacket pocket, I was out on the driveway sorting through things. And it was a very windy day. But I think what happened was that I may have dropped it. Stay down, Plug. Dropped it in the box of Goodwill items that I was, loading up, and didn't see it, and it got put on my dad's pickup truck, and because otherwise I think I would have seen it if I had dropped it, because the wind was blowing from my back forward, so I would have seen it blowing across the driveway. Anyway, so yeah, so the green floss went missing, but the pink floss I found later on. Also, when I had my mother cleaning out her sewing machine. We have both an antique sewing machine, an old Singer with the foot pedal, and everything. My mother used to use it when, excuse me, there's a cat about to spill my tea. my mother used to use it. I think when she first got married, when she and my dad first got married in the mid-50s. Sorry, my cat just knocked everything down. Excuse me just a minute. Okay, sorry about that. Got the fisherman tank, knocked everything down again. Anyway, so like I said, we were there, helping my parents go through things in the house. What I was about to say was that my mother had, like I said, the antique sewing machine that she used. I don't know where it came from. I don't know if it was my grandmother's or where it came from. But anyway, my mother used it when she first got married in the mid-50s until she and my dad bought the newer one sometime, I don't know when my brother was a kid. So maybe in the early 60s or something. But anyway, so she was going through that, emptying it out and, throwing things away and keeping things. And one of the things she found was this old hoop. It has like a lot of paint on the back, so I think my older sister may have used it to hold something still while she was painting. I don't know. I have no idea. But so it's neat. It's got these little matching little notches kind of on this side. I don't know what they were for, but yeah, that was fun. But also, my sister had us looking for. My mom had tons of photos, loose photos of us as kids, photos of my nephews and my niece, her grandchildren, tons and tons and tons of photos. But my older sister, who couldn't be there, had asked my younger sister and I to look for pictures of the house because she had put together an album for my mother at Christmas time of pictures when we were kids, pictures of the house, so she could remember what the house looked like because that's the house I grew up in. But anyway, she only had some pictures of the house and anyway, so while I was there, we were looking at them, and this is one picture. I mean, you're not having glare. That's the front door. We used to have flowers and, whatever. And this is my older sister and I when we were little, going down the slide in the backyard. Back when there was no, in this corner later on, my dad put a shed, an aluminum shed, and various things. But at one point, this is the back of the house, looking out the porch, I guess, the covered patio. And then this picture is also in the back, I think, in the backyard. My older sister and I, that's my older sister, and me and my younger sister, and our back patio, sliding doors in the kitchen window there. I don't know what's going through Naomi's mind, but there she is. I also found, stop it, please, my cat is attacking me for scolding him earlier. I found a few other things I was going to show you, but I don't think I don't know. But among the things that I found were I found some things that my grandmother made, and one of the things that I wanted to rescue part of. One of the things she made was this apron, and it was one of those like a bib apron kind of thing, but it was all torn, and so I didn't want to just throw it away, but I rescued part of it because she had embroidered along the edges of it. I don't know if this will show up, but she had stitched somewhere, along the edges of it, this pink little border you see down here in the bottom that she had put on it. This is like, I think this was, I don't know if this was, I don't know, on one side or whatever. You can see kind of where it was sewn together here. But anyway, one of the things she did was, I think she crocheted these roses and then embroidered these leaves around them. And then some kind of little stitched border around the edges. So yeah, here's the back. Yeah, there's a little, this border leading up these flowers. So there were 3 of them that I saved from this apron. Yeah, that's my, well, I got it kind of pulled and I don't know what happened to that one. But, yeah. So, I couldn't bear to just throw them away, throw this apron away, so I kept these pieces of it. And I don't know what can be done with it, if anything, but I don't know, we'll see. But the other thing that I brought home with me, rather than leaving it there for, they're paying for a full pack out, if you will. So the movers are gonna, pack everything for them. My parents are in their 80s, that's hard enough just, going through everything. But anyway, I wanted to order some more. But anyway, this is something that sorry about the plastic. This is the little card that I made. Oh no, it's tearing. That I made for my mother a long time ago. And it's ribbon embroidery and cross stitch. And I want a better frame for it because this frame is kind of coming apart. There's a note that I wrote to my mother back in the day when I wrote her this card. And anyway, but the stitching is held in place with, it was obviously I backed it in masking tape and put it in. So I'd like to get a frame, better frame for it or something, and frame it more permanently somehow, But anyway, so that was my trip in January. When I got back, my sister and I went to the attic here in Phoenix, in Mesa, and bought a few things there because I needed, I was looking for some specific rolls of Krynic, which I didn't have. And we went to the attic. That was a good excuse for me to go to the attic because I'd never been there before, even though it's basically right on my doorstep. And actually, it's very close to where I will be living in Gilbert. Although the address is technically in Mesa, it's really not that far as the crow flies from the house that my parents are buying in Gilbert. Anyway, so while I was there, I didn't find the true rolls of Krynic I was looking for. They didn't have the specific shades. And oddly enough, I had some metallics here that I thought I had red blending filament that is called for in the little Santa that I'm doing. But I actually had red braid, which is thicker and it's not, tiny plies like the blending filament is. So, anyway, So I used the red, I'll talk about that later. I used the red braid by itself and it came out fine. But while I was there, I bought this cat and dog la-di-da design, which is great. And I think I'll make the cat thing twice, maybe 3 times, to look like my 2 cats. And this dog actually looks a little, pretty much like the dog that we have. Our dog is a little smaller and a little hairier. She's kind of a terrier type of, a little mutt, but she's very cute. But anyway, that dog looks very much like her. So I might make the dog by itself. Now this stoneware kitten is a pin pillow kit thing, and it comes with the thread and the thread and trim and the linen. And the linen is stained, and I have a call in to the attic, and I had to leave a message, and they said they would call me back. So, but the linen has, I don't know if you can see this. There's a little right there. There's a little stain on it, and I had asked on Friday Off the Grid whether I should try to wash it out or whatever, and the advice I got was, to either contact the designer or contact the attic. So that's what I called the attic about. What do I do? They have a no returns policy, but I don't know how that works or whatever, how that applies to you. The other thing I bought was Petite Treasure Braid. I was looking for a silver Krynic blending filament, and they didn't have that particular shade. And this actually looks very much, because it's kind of opalescent and all that, it looks very much like one of the shades that I do have already. But anyway, I thought I would use it, try it out. So here is the Santa I've been working on since I don't know when, since the beginning of the year. And I finished the blue stitching. The last time I had this, excuse me, there's a cat hair on there. Last time I had this, last time I showed it to you, I was up here somewhere, or maybe I had come across this way to the back of the sleigh and was working on that. I don't know. But anyway, so since then I did all I had left all these white areas, and I had started to do them with beads, as I said on Friday Off the Grid. I talked about it. I had started, because I bought some gold beads while I was at the attic, and I put them on the harness here. This is the red braid that I already had, so I went ahead and used it. And then I bought these gold beads, and I put them on there for jingle bells on the harnesses of the reindeer. And that's not called for in the pattern, but I thought it was fun. And then I had some gold metallic DMC, which everybody seems to denigrate, but whatever. And it comes in plies. You can use it, like blending filament, I guess. But I used it just by itself, and I used it to make this star and this line. Originally, they were called for, in the pattern, it calls for red with red blending filament. A slightly, maybe a different color of red than everything else on the sled. But I liked when I left it white because it was, the blending filament thing. And I liked the way it looked standing out, and I thought that it would look better a different color. So I just did the gold on there, to make it stand out. And I did the French knots for the eyes of the deer. And if you look at Santa's eyes and the teddy bear eyes, they're kind of wonky. One eye is bigger than the other. That's because my French knot skills are not that great, and I was not going to do them over again. This is his little eye, the smaller eye. I had done the one eye, and I went to do the other, and part of it was that my thread was was kind of short, and I didn't want to rethread it because it actually calls for 2 threads for his eyes, for the French knots on his eyes, and 2 threads for the teddy bear, and 4 threads for the French knots on the reindeer eyes. Anyway, so I did not want to redo the, use another thread for the other French knot or whatever. But anyway, so I couldn't do it for whatever reason for a while, and then I finally I let it go for a couple nights or a night or so, and watched another tutorial on French knots just to refresh my memory and see what I was doing wrong. Somehow I somehow, within the space of doing one eye and doing the next one, I couldn't do it. So I watched a tutorial, and so I did the other eye finally. Anyway, but I did the stars. I started to do them with these beads that I thought originally were white, but once I put them on here, it was obviously they were more clear than white. And I didn't like the way they looked, so I took them off and I used white thread, 1 strand of white floss with 3 strands of blending filament, and you can kind of see there's a little bit of sparkle there, But so for the date, I was thinking of just using some silver thread that I have already. So now I have to do all the backstitch. Oh, and the runners of the sleigh. That's what I bought the petite treasure braid for, because it calls for silver cryonic and gray thread to do the runners. So we shall see how that petite treasure braid looks. Anyway, so Santa's coming along. He's almost done. I just have the hard parts of all the backstitching to do, because I have to backstitch all around the sleigh and the blanket and the deer and the antlers, and I have to do some backstitching on Santa's face and around his hands and beard. And the tree gets gold cryonic to trim it out to make it look like tinsel on the tree, as well as backstitching around the tree and everything else. So there's still a lot of work to do on Santa. No wonder I didn't finish. And then I have to FFO him, and I was thinking about mounting it on a. I saw a round wooden thing at Walmart, but it would mean like mounting Santa by himself, like on a piece of cardboard or something, and then mounting that to the wood, because the wood circle is like, I want to say 7 inches in diameter. It's larger than this. This is probably more like 3 or 4 inches, something like that. So I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to do that, or I'm going to make an ornament like it says. I have the white trim that goes around the outside here. That I have some white braid kind of trim that I bought for this project once upon a time. But I don't have any backing fabric. This is the back. It was nice and neat until I started putting the white in for the stars. But I'm an out and back stitcher, so that's what my back usually looks like, either horizontal or vertical lines. Anyway, so and the elephant needle minder, my sister made for me. And yeah, it has the black magnets she bought. It doesn't have heaven and earth magnets on it, and the magnets have left marks on some of my work, I noticed. But somebody, was it a crafting curator, had said that you can put clear nail polish on them, and that'll solve that staining problem. So I'll probably do that. My cats are about to knock everything down. Anyway, so that's about it. I have some haul for the first time in my life, I think. And I have my ongoing whip. And I still haven't started my kitty on the keys. I've done some preliminary work on preparing the pattern, but and it came with the thread, of course, because it was kept. I just haven't really started it really in earnest. I found the middle of the fabric. I think I have it. I have the fabric in a hoop, but I haven't started stitching. I haven't put in a single stitch yet. But it'll come in time. And I've also done a little bit of work on the hem, charting out the hem. I'm still working on it, but I've gotten the alphabet. I think I've chosen the alphabet. I've worked on that, and I haven't done any more work on it lately, just because, like I said, I was in Albuquerque, and since I've been back, I've been working on that Santa in earnest to try to finish it. I'm dying to start these new kits that I bought, but I want to finish a Santa now because it's been lying fallow in my stash since the mid-90s when it came out, and when I found it in a magazine and I said, oh, I want to stitch that, and then in 2011 I started it and did a little bit on it, so I want to finish it because I'm afraid that if I set it down that I won't get back to it, because I'm at the difficult part now. All the back stitching and all that is the hard part for me, and the FFO aspect of it, and I don't want to leave it almost done. I want to finish it and then start on other things, like the kitty kit and the things that I bought. So anyway, that's where I am now, and I don't want to leave this for too long. And besides, I have some Earl Grey green tea, calling my name, along with an onion bagel. When I was in college, me and my older sister and our two friends, Jan and Mona, one of the things that we used to snack on is we would get Lender's onion bagels, put them in the toaster, and then spread cream cheese on them, and put those little pepperonis on top, smash them down, and it was a lovely snack. But anyway, so I have a bagel, cream cheese and pepperonis, an onion bagel, and Earl Grey green tea, calling my name, getting cold. I wanted to show you also, though, excuse me for, I hit the music stand that I'm using to hold my tablet. But if I can move this cup without spilling it. Oh, okay. One of the things I did in the last several years that I was in Little Rock, one of the things I did was, and I managed to spill tea on this. Just a minute. I got up for a second and I found this picture. This also fell on the floor. Was my sister and I standing in front of the house in our brownies uniforms. And this was around the time that I actually did my first stitching, because that's the skirt. That's the uniform that I was wearing. Excuse me, there's a cat trying to knock everything down. Stop. 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 Get down, please. Puck. Get down. Don't. But that was a skirt that I would stitch my embroidery to. We'd, I don't know if it was on Friday Off the Grid or Stitch Mania, that I posted pictures of the things that I had stitched, but one of them was a little piece that said "God is love," and this is the brownie uniform that I was wearing when we made that, and that was the skirt that I kept stitching to my project. But I wanted to show you the last several years that I lived in Little Rock. There's a place called the Painted Pig, which is a paint your own pottery little shop, and that was what I did instead of cross stitching. The last few years that I lived in Little Rock, and one of the things I made was something like this. This is a coaster, it has cherries on it, and I made a set of these. One has cherries, one has blueberries, one has raspberries, and the other one has something else. I don't know. I have them all in my various places in my room, I think. But I also made a set for my mother that has New Mexico motifs on it. Like there's a heartline bear and a lizard and various things. But anyway, so yeah, I made a whole lot of painted butter projects. So anyway, I'm off to drink my tea and eat my bagel, and that is my latest update. I hope that you all will subscribe and come back and continue to follow me on. Like I said, I'm Elizabeth Martinez on Stitch Mania and Friday Off the Grid, and this. My Flosstube channel is either under Elizabeth Martinez or under phantastitches, which is what I had originally used, and I don't know if it's still under that or not. Anyway, but so I hope that you will follow me or subscribe to my channel, and in the meantime, happy stitching.